Oh, there we go. Just a couple of minutes late again, so apologies for that. We've only just got in, literally. I have rushed straight in and got this set up. So welcome everybody to my Tuesday live. Should only be one more in a couple of weeks' time that's a bit later, and I will be back to my usual 2 o'clock slot, hopefully next week. Although there will be some changes over the next few weeks because I do have a week's holiday in the middle of June. So I won't be doing one that week because I shall be in Switzerland. Anyway, enough of that. I'll tell you more about that another time. But it's very exciting because it was a friend who mentioned it, and she said, "Oh, I found this wonderful trip in Switzerland. You can go around the Lindt factory." And she knows I love Lindt chocolate as well. So I said, "Oh, I'll come as well then." And she said, "Really? Because that would be great." So we have arranged to go, and we are off to Switzerland to go around the Lindt chocolate factory with half empty suitcases, or probably mainly empty suitcases, because I suspect we will be bringing a lot of chocolate back. We're also doing a chocolate factory visit where we get to make our own flavour of chocolate. So that'll be fun as well. We're going to have a great time. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's in 3 weeks' time, I think it is. Anyway, today, let me get my desk up and then you can, oh, you can't see the card because I haven't put it on the desk. Right, this is what we're making. Oh, you say that doesn't look very interesting, but this is a pop-up box card. And it opens up like this to form a box. And there's a sort of central piece down the middle that you can stick things to, and obviously the bit at the back we stick things to, and then these flaps, which just sort of as it stands up, they just sort of fold to one side and just sort of hang down like that. And you decorate these flaps as well, and of course underneath the flaps you've got some DSP. You could, if you wanted, put something on the underside of these as well. I decided not to bother. I've just put it on the bottom because most of the time this is going to be standing up because people are going to want to see it. So I have used the Turtley Awesome bundle to do these. That's the dies that have cut it out. So they cut out hats, they cut out ice cream cones, they cut out the turtles, and these are not stamped and coloured by me. These are actually from the DSP, because there is, to go with this set, let me just bring everything else in and then you can see. This is the set, Turtley Awesome it's called. Absolutely lovely. I've just realised I haven't got the chat up, so I won't see if anybody's popping something in. Geraldine, hello. Yes, you have managed to find me online. Well done, thank you. Yeah, so if you are watching, do pop in the chat where you're from and your interest in these things. That would be good to know. This is the Turtley Awesome stamp set, and it's got these lovely cute turtles, various bits, birds, ice cream cone, a flower, cake, a hat, a balloon, a microphone, some music, and then the sentiments: hooray, sweet friend, it's okay to take it slow, here for you always, and hope your birthday is turtly awesome, which I really liked. So I've used a lot of these in the card. And it does come with dies. There's a full set of dies, and the dies cut out all of the stamps. So they cut out the ice cream cone, the hat, the flower, the birds. Great. And you've got a couple of extra dies as well. We've got a watering can, we've got a chef's hat, we've got the sort of, what's that bit called, the bit that sticks on the guitar? I don't know. So you can make it into a banjo if you use the balloon and this bit, or a guitar, because there's in the paper that I'm going to show you, there is somebody with a guitar on as well. And it also has this sort of apron, and then I'm not sure what that one is. I haven't worked that one out yet, or that one, but there are various bits to go with all the things you can make with this, which is lovely, and a turtle shell that you can cut out separately as well. So really brilliant. It's a fabulous set. There's so much in it. Really nice to use. The dies can be a little bit fiddly with those tiny dies, but they do work, and it is great to see them. So that is the stamp set, or the bundle rather, that I am using, and I have teamed it up with, and this looks really messy because I've used so much of this paper already, but this is the Turtley Cute 12 by 12 designer series paper, and as always it is double-sided. So you have, I'll work from the back and show you. So there is this set, which has got, oh, hang on, I must have used most of that one. So this is a separate sheet here. I'll just put that one away for a second because I've used a lot of this sheet. This has a cook with a birthday cake, a turtle holding a balloon, separate birthday cakes and hats, a turtle holding a present, this turtle then all of these, most of these are cut out with dies. Some of them you have to fussy cut, but that one and that one you can cut out with the dies, which is lovely. And of course you can cut out the cakes and balloons and hats with the dies. So that is that sheet, and it's got yellow music on the back. Then are the other sheets. Whoa. So there is this sheet with the stripes on the back, the 5 different coloured stripes. And this one is sort of beach scenes. So you've got a snorkeling with a life ring and a life ring and armbands. It reminds me of when I first started to learn to swim. So you've got him, you've got beach balls, you've got sandcastles, you've got different shells, you've got a barbecue. Again, some lovely, lovely images in that. And this cook again with an apron and a fish slice to cook the fish on the barbecue. And this, I presume, a lady turtle with a towel around them and a towel around the head, holding a rather nice looking cocktail. So lovely papers, those. Then there are this sheet and this sheet. This is like a turtle pattern shell on the back, and then you have these sort of gardening and leisure ones. So you've got a turtle riding a penny farthing, you've got more birds here, a flower cluster, a turtle with an ice cream, a turtle just resting on his back there, watermelon slices, more ice cream, just nice things. Oh, you've got a basket, a picnic basket as well in that one. And then the next one is this one. So we have stripes, vertical stripes or horizontal, depending on which way you cut your paper, for this one. And then lots of music turtles. So here's the one with the banjo, which I said you can make out of the balloon and the fret, the arm of the banjo that you can cut separately. He's wearing a hat as well. You've got one with an accordion, one with a drum, and one with a trumpet, and all the music notes in the background as well. So lovely, lovely DSP. And then you've got all the bits that I've already cut out. And the final sheet I'm going to show you, which there isn't very much of because I've actually used most of the sheet, has the dots on the back of it. And these are sort of scenes. You've got a stage, you've got this sort of picnic scene, you've got other different coloured strips that you can decorate envelopes and things with. There's a paired with a wedding. So there's so much on these. Then there's this one as well. This is another strip of that. So you've got the wedding, this gingham one, and the beehive. So much in this paper, so much to love. That's one of my gardening ones I nearly used today, but I've decided not to. I will use them on another card. So really nice paper, and that I think for the characters in particular, I think that's very useful. Right, so this, I've got various bits here that I've got to go through, and I have already die cut all of my little the pieces I'm going to use today, because I thought I didn't want to let everybody hold up. And as you can see here, I am going to be using a sort of beach scene. So they're going to have a barbecue. I've got the snorkeling person here, and shells, and a starfish, and the barbecue, and the cook with the fish slice, and yeah. Well, I didn't cut out. I thought I was. Oh yes, I have. I've cut out another turtle. I did think about cutting out the one with the sort of woman with the towels and the cocktail, but I decided not to do that one in the end. I've done the sandcastle though, and I've done some shells, and I've been very busy fussy cutting because not all of those have dies. So how to make a box card. The neck of the guitar. Oh, thank you, Geraldine. The neck. Thank you. I couldn't think what the word was. Yeah, the neck of the guitar, or the banjo anyway. So you can cut those out, which is nice. Let me just move that card out of the way. So we're going to start now. This card will fit in a 6x6 envelope, and it does, as I showed you at the start, fold flat, so it will fit in the 6x6 envelope. So I have given you on the blog, which will be published soon after we finish this video, there are going to be measures for UK cardstock. I have put in measures for US cardstock. That is going to be slightly different because the card is not as long. So what I've had to do is make these side pieces slightly smaller. So these are 2-inch. For US cardstock, you can just make it about 1 3/4 inches. But I have put the measurements in for US cardstock as well. I've left the width the same because if you try and cut the width down, it gets difficult to fit images in. and I've just made it sort of shallower, if you like, or narrower, whichever way you want to think about it. So these side panels here are 1 3/4 rather than 2. Otherwise, for the main panels, the measurements are the same. So obviously these bits are smaller as well. So yeah, there are some differences. Okay, so for this one, I have also put at the bottom of the blog, I have put how to make one that will fit in our normal C6 envelope. And to do one for a C6 envelope, you'll see that this depth here is 2 inches and the whole thing is 5 inches for our cardstock. If you want to make it to fit in a C6 envelope, our usual envelope, the total needs to be 4 1/4. And I think then you need to cut the top down to 1 3/4, leaving you 2 1/2 rather than 2 3/4 on the bottom, which is going to go, well, there's 3 in total, 2 3/4 for the panels. You need to actually cut those would need to be smaller as well, by a little bit. And I've put that in the blog anyway. So if you did want to make a smaller one, got to be a little bit careful, because if you have too much here and it's too shallow at the bottom, then it can feel a little bit unsteady. And the top should always be slightly smaller than this bit. So you can try the measurements I've made. I was going to try and make one, but I haven't had time, I'm afraid, to fit in that. So I am going to make this size one today. So what do you need? I'm going to have to try and remember the measurements, because the thing I wrote my measurements on, I've left on the other side of the room. So I'll try and remember them. So this is a length of A4 cardstock. So this is for British measurements, and I am using inches for British measurements as well as for US this time, because I need to go and get it, so I've got the right measurements for it. So just give me a second while I nip and get those measurements that I had left on the other side of the room. There we go. Yeah, so for A4 cardstock, you want the length of A4 by 5 inches deep. If you're using US cardstock, then you want the full 11 inches, and it needs to be, again, 5 inches deep. Then you also need a smaller piece of the same colour cardstock. Colours and things don't matter. You can make this with flower stamp sets. Whichever stamp set you've got doesn't matter either. You can make it with flowery stamp sets, with just for a lovely, any sort of thing. You can make it with any stamp set, basically, this type of card. So don't worry about the decoration, which is why I prepared it all. We don't need to worry about that, because you can just about make it with any paper and any stamp set. Right, so you've got your base sheet. Then you also want this piece. This is a support that goes across the centre here. And this piece for both US and UK needs to be 1 1/2 inches by 4 3/4 inches. Then you have a piece of basic white for the back panel. And this is the panel here at the back of the card, which is where I've written a sentiment, decorated it a little bit, and left room for you to write a greeting or whatever if you actually want there. So that panel at the back, that is 3 1/2 inches by 4 3/4 inches. Again, the same for both US and UK cardstock. Then you also want some pieces of DSP to decorate the bottom panels at the front and the 2 sides, because the back has the back panel on. And you want one piece, the big piece for the centre, is 3 1/2 by 2 3/4 for our cardstock. The same for US cardstock. The side pieces for our cardstock are 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. For US cardstock, it needs to be 1 1/2 by 2 3/4, and you want 2 of those. Then you also want panels for sticking on the flaps as they come down, and those are 1 3/4 by 3 1/2. And you want 2 smaller ones, and these are, and I've forgotten to write these down. Oh no, I haven't. That's 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 for US, 1 1/2 by 1 3/4, and you want 2 of those. You want a scrap to write a separate sentiment if you want to put that on, and then you just want your stamp sets and things for decoration. For the inside of the back, I've used the scenes from the Turtley Cute DSP. So I've used the garden scene for this birthday celebration one here, and I'm going to use the beach one for my barbecue scene here. So I've just cut a piece of that, and that is cut at what is it cut at? 3.5, yeah, 3.5 by roughly 4, something like that. It doesn't need to come all the way down because you don't see it, you only see the top piece of it. So 3.5 wide by a depth that means it doesn't show, so probably about 3 inches plus, and that's going to go on the back inside panel. So those are all the bits you need. So how to make the card, and it is incredibly easy to make. And these measurements I'm going to show you now would be the same if you were making the narrower version for a C6 envelope. So we're going to score, and we're going to score this on the long side. I'll give you the US measurements in a minute, but this is for UK length cardstock, the A4 cardstock. We are going to score, just move my blade out of the way. I'm going to score it starting at 2 inches. And I'm using inches for this because, quite frankly, the centre measures get all into points of this, that, and the other, and it's more awkward. So I've left it as inches. At 5.5 inches, at 7.75 inches. Is that right? No, 5.75. That should have been. Sorry, 5.75. So I've got a line where I don't want it. I must remember that because the next one should be 2 inches. So 2 inches. 5.75 inches, 7.75 inches, and then 11.5 inches. And that leaves you with a little tiny bit on the side here, which is the tab that is going to close make it closed. Then we want to turn it just through 90 degrees and score it again at 2 inches. Okay. And that is all the scoring that you do. Well, it isn't because you've got to do the support bit. Let me do that while I've got my trimmer out, actually. So the little support bit, again, you're going to score it on the long side, and you're just going to score it at 1/2 inch on both ends. So I'm using the right-hand side of my paper trimmer to just put a 1/2 inch score on both ends. And I got these lovely instructions from my super upline, Gillian, because she makes these a lot. She has them for sale on eBay. So that is where I got them from. But as I said, I've also worked out the sizes for US and for a smaller A5 C6 envelope version. So this support bit, I don't know if you've seen what I've just done there because I should have described it at the same time. Where I've got my 1/2 inch scores each end, you want to fold one way and the other one the other so that it looks like a Z fold. Yeah, like that. Can you see that against? Yeah, you can see that against the desk now. So like a Z fold. So that's for the support piece. Put that to one side. Because the next thing we're going to do is find my scissors. And I'm going to cut down each of these where you've got a big panel and a smaller panel either side of that score line. Yeah. So there's your score line. So you've got a smaller width panel and a larger width one. And on the smaller side, you're going to cut up each of the score lines. So just go to that 2 inch score line there. So cut an end one there. Now I have to work out which of my, hang on, better measure this again to make sure I'm going to, because I got it wrong, I need to just measure it again to make sure I'm going to, 500 quarters is this one. I need to cut down the correct one or it won't lie flat. Shall ignore that other score line, it won't matter. Then this one here. And then when we get to the end one, we're going to cut right down that again to the line. But when we get to the line, we're just going to cut it off and leave a slightly mitered bit at the top there. Because that little tab there that you've got, that little extra bit here, is what's we're going to close the box with that. So then we're going to do all the other folds. So we're going to fold all the vertical folds, give them a decent crease. It's fine just to do it with your fingers. You don't really need to use a bone folder for this, but you can if you want. And then the 3 main panels, which are these ones, I'm going to fold down in front. There we go. Leave the back one. Don't fold that one because that is going to have the, I might fold them the other way because of the way I've got that cut. There we go. So the back one you want to leave because that one is going to be flat anyway. That one doesn't bend, so don't bother folding the score line in the middle of that. So this is how the box goes together. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of tear and tape down my tab here and put the box together. And you may say, oh, but doesn't that make it hard to stick things on? No, it doesn't, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'm going to put the tape down there, and then I'm going to half fold it across, take the cover off, and then to stick it down, because I know then it's going to be straight, I'm just going to bring it across like that. And that, whoops, dropped my pokey thing, and that fits the box together. So there is the actual box. These bits fold down. You can see now how it's coming together, but it won't matter about sticking because it folds flat. So it does fold flat, if I can just use that. There we go. So because that cut wasn't very good, I'm just going to redo that. I didn't really cut it down the line. That wasn't very good. There we go. That's better. So it does fold flat. So the next thing I'm going to do is get the back done. So this is my back one here, and I'm going to stamp the Hope Your Birthday is Totally Awesome again. I'm going to stamp it in Memento. And colours, by the way, you can use whatever colour cardstock you want for this. I've just chosen real red because it sort of matches the colours in the DSP. So Hope Your Birthday is Totally Awesome. That's that. And while I've got the ink pad out, I'm going to stamp the Hooray, which I'm going to put on the front, and I'm going to actually cut that out. So I'm going to just stamp it on this scrap bit, and then I'm actually going to fussy cut that out in a minute. There. So then we can decorate the back. Now I've got various bits here to go in my scene. Ooh, there we go. I've got, oops, the crab is eating my cook's face. There we go. So I've got a little crab, and I've got a ball, and I've got my 3 chappies there, and I've got a sandcastle, and I've got the barbecue, which I also want to go in there. And I should have some more. Where have they gone? Oh, there's one there. Some little shells. I did cut out some shells. Oops. That's one. I definitely cut out another shell, and I seem to, oh no, there it is. There, so I've got a couple of little shells, my starfish, and these I'm going to use to decorate the front panel bits. But I am going to stick one on the back here, and I think probably, yeah, I think I'm probably going to use my sandcastle on the back. So I'm going to stick that on now. It's very lazy doing all this fussy cutting from DSP, because I could have just stamped, but no, I thought, no, I'll do DSP because actually it's easy. And then having done that, I'm going to stick this to the back of the card. So making sure that that is the top, so I've got it the right way round, and then I can stick this across the back panel. That is the back of my card put together. Whoops, it would help if I got it straight. Just, I could feel it just slip then. There we go, that's better. The beauty of, and the lovely wiggle room you have with Tombow. So there is the back of my card. So for the front, I'm going to stick my DSP on next. Oops. You can see it's the back of the scenes. I didn't use those, but I never quite know what to do with those scenes bits. So I was glad to find this idea because it gave me a way to use this DSP when not waste the scene by using it on the back piece. I thought it was quite clever. Thinking of that. So has anyone ever made one of these box cards before? They're good fun. I think particularly for children, because they can be very, you can make them very, very elaborate as well. I've just used one layer on all of these. You could use a double layer, so you have one layer and then another layer on top. So that would give you more to put on the card. I haven't. I've just used single layers on this one. But each layer just needs to be 1/4 of an inch smaller if you want to put multiple layers on. Oh, while I've got this out, I'll put my back piece on. So this is going to go inside here. a nice little beach scene. So slide that in and just try and get it level. There we go. I've cut it so it's got a very narrow little border around, which is what I wanted. So there is my scene at the back, and you see it doesn't come right to the, I don't know if you can see that, it doesn't come right to the bottom of the card. It doesn't need to. You could cut it that long if you wanted. It would have had a different scene on the bottom because of the DSP I've used, but I like this because you'll be able to see far enough in to see the towel at the bottom there on the beach, but it won't get in the way. Right, so a couple more bits to do. This is the support piece, and this is going to sit inside the box here between left and right, and it will actually hold, and it will still allow the box, better stick it in and show you, it will still allow the box to fold flat. So for this one we want some tape on the outside of that piece and on the outside of that piece, so we do need to get the tape in the right place. In that first one I made, I put it on the wrong side, so that mine is not a Z, it's actually, I don't know what it's called, a U, I don't know, a sort of U shape. Yeah. So make sure they are on opposite sides. In other words, when you've got your piece flat, one on one side, one on the other, and then we can stick it in its Z shape. So I'm just going to take the tops off that because it doesn't want to come off. Thank you. There we go. So I'm going to hold these flaps in while I slide this down. And I want it somewhere in the middle. Now, what you can do with this, oops, don't slide down, please. And I'm sticking it pretty near the top because I want to have enough of this to make sure that my figures will actually sit on it nicely. If you have it too far down, you end up not sticking very much of the figure down, which isn't very good. So you can see it sits in there and it still folds completely flat for posting. But now I have somewhere to put my central figures. Now in this one, I actually cut out a bit more of the DSP, and I don't even see, there's a sort of stony path there, which just built it up a little bit more, gave me more to stick that figure on, but you don't have to do anything there. I didn't have any extra sand. I could use a bit of basic beige or something. I wonder if I've got a scrap. What have I got a scrap of? I've got a scrap of crumb cake. Oh, it's actual card base. I won't use that. What have I got a scrap of here? That's pecan pie. It's probably a bit too dark for sand, isn't it? Sure, I should have some more basic beige in here. What's that bit? That bit's not too bad a length either. So I'm just going to cut this very vaguely to make it look a little bit like sand. Just like that. And then I'm just going to stick that on as well. Just, it gives me a little bit more to stick my figures to and adds a bit more interest to the scene. So I'm only putting glue on the bottom bit, and that's going to stick on just like that and give me a bit of extra sand and a bit of extra height to stick my figures to. Right, so anyone got any questions about this? As I said, has anybody made one of these before? They are good fun to make. As I said, for these you do need a 6x6 envelope or a 6x5.5 envelope. You can make your own with an envelope board if you've got one. I don't make enough of my own envelopes anymore. I used to use that a lot and make a lot of envelopes, but now I'm very lazy and I tend to buy them. But to make a custom size like 6x5.5, it's not a bad idea. Right, whoops. So there is my hooray that I'm going to stick on the top. And for these panels, as I said, you could either put double layers on, so you have another colour layer and then basic white. You can stamp on these to decorate them, or you can be a little bit lazy like me and use an embossing folder, which I have lost. Don't know where I put that. I'll go and get another one. I'll just use this one. I'd used the dotty one from Basics embossing folders. There's the set of 3, so I'd use the dotty one for this particular one. I think I will use this one, the sort of slashed pattern. I rather like that, and it looks a little bit like sand or something. I think I've got an old seaweed type one somewhere, but let's use this for now. So I'm going to pop these in here and nip across to my machine to just run it through the machine. I won't be a minute. Geraldine, you haven't made a card like this yet. I'm glad you said the yet, because I'm hoping that means you're going to make it very soon. I'll be back in a sec. There we are. That was easier than me trying to bring the machine across and getting it all in the way. So I've just run this through the machine. So I've got 3 pieces of nicely embossed card. So you can see the pattern on it, hopefully there. Yeah, there we go. So these I'm going to stick onto these panels here. The ones, obviously the inside of them as they're folded down, that's the bit I want to see. So having this on the front one, the wide one, and then the 2 smaller ones go on the side panels. Whoops. Put it flat to be a lot easier. There we go. I think these are particularly nice cards for children. It's one of the reasons I've used this turtle suite, because my nieces will love these. So I'll make one niece for next month, and the other one I'll keep till August for the second one. That's why I've made them slightly different but similar. Because if you make them too different, they fight. They have to have the same. You know what these kids are like. I've just stuck that to the wrong side. Honestly, I'm so stupid. I just have to remove it. There, stick that there, and just remove it from there because that is not the right size. Better cut another piece, actually. Which probably means I'll need to cut several more pieces to fit. Is that the right width? I think it is. I think this is the same piece that I cut the other bits from, which is great. So the centre panel is 3.5 because I'll need to put them on both sides now. And the other one is 1 3/4. So I'll cut that one first because that one I definitely need. And if the other one's slightly smaller, it won't matter. Yeah, that's only 3 1/4. So perhaps I'll just put them on the outside ones and then they match. So I need to go and run that through the embossing folder. Perhaps I ought to get another piece. Have I got a scrap piece that's big enough? So many pieces of scrap. Is that one big enough? Is that one wide enough? Oh, it is. Excellent. That one's long enough, definitely. So 3.5. No, is it 3 3/4? Just check. No, 3.5. I'm right. What? 3.5. Yes. Just doubting myself then, but I was right. Right, so I'm just going to go and run these through because of having made a mistake. There's always a way around things, folks. Let me just run this through. There we go. So now I can stick all of them on the right places. I got that right. 1, 2, 3. I should have an extra one still. Really. So I'll need to stick one on the back of there as well. Is that the right width? No, that's not the right piece. Yeah. It's always worth keeping a bit of a box of bits, because then you've got enough to actually always find a bit that you need. Sorry, I need to go and just emboss this one too. So as I said, I've done double these now. You don't need to. You just need to stick them in the right place in the first place, and then it wouldn't be such a problem. I'll just shut my drawer there. Right, so having decided I need these on both sides now, I'll just pop these on before I show you how easy it is to put the decorations on. So we want one on the back of there. This one on the back of the middle. So I've just embossed these. If you wanted, you could stamp a background on these. That's the other way to do it. Totally up to you. You see quite a lot of these cards made with flowers, and they do look lovely with sort of piles of flowers. But as I said, I wanted these for my nieces. Oops. Turn it the right way. There we go. There. So now I've got that on both sides, which is different from the other one. It's still fine. Then we can start just finishing by putting the decoration on. So I've got my hooray, which I'm going to stick on the front here. Now you could, if you wanted, put this on with dimensionals. I'm just going to put it flat with some glue because this won't fold inside, so it would fold up, but I think it's fine just to stick it on like that. You could use, as I said, dimensionals. But then when you close the card, you just got to think about the depth there, because we've got the figures in the middle as well. So that's why I've gone with flat rather than anything else. And then I had all my little tiny crabs and things here. My ball, which will go on one side. I'm going to have my ball on this side, I think. Then I have a couple of shells. I might actually cut out some more shells to put more shells on that side. We'll see. I will do that later. Come out, little blobs of glue. Don't want to squeeze it because I'll end up with a huge blob. There we go. It's better. And I better just find my tweezers because they are tiny, tiny bits, these. See how good I was doing all of this fussy cutting. So we'll have shells on here, and you can see I've got 2 shells. I probably need a couple more, so I might, oops, cut another shell for on here as well. And then I'm going to put my crab and my starfish on the front here. Getting glue everywhere now, sticking it wherever I don't want to. So I have a crab on there. And my starfish, I will pick up this glue that I've just managed to put on the desk, which is crazy. I'll have my starfish there. So I'll probably put another few shells on there or something. I'm just going to wipe up that glue before I put something in it that I don't want to. There we go. And then we can stick our other turtles in. Now this die, by the way, I want to show you this one. When it cuts out this shaped turtle, it cuts out the arms separately so he can actually hold things. That's why on this one I've actually got him holding an ice cream. So we are going to we'll have our scuba diver at the back because he's coming out of the sea. So I'm sticking him on the back seam So I can glue him all over because he's going to sit on the back seam in the middle. So he's coming out of the sea there. So there we go. He's just coming out of the sea. There we go, coming to see what's going on. And then I'll have one of my little tortoises on this side. Now this is where I have to be careful just to put glue on the bottom part because I'm sticking him on here. I don't want the glue to be above where I'm sticking him. So do be careful. There's the first one. And then I'm going to put my cook on here. So again, a little bit more, I think, there. Sticking him this side. And then the barbecue, which is I'm just going to stick at the front here. So I'm only going to put some glue on the front of the legs here. I can get enough out. Should I use the glue actually? There. So just putting them on the front of the legs, and then I can stick that there to the inside of the front here. There. So there is my scene. I've got my barbecue, I've got my cook with his fish slice, and I've got my person waiting to eat the waiting to eat the fish. I've got my snorkel coming out of the water at the back. Could probably put those a little bit further down actually, but we'll see. They'll be do for now. And there is my card. So it folds flat. I'm not worried that my cook's hat sticks out at the top because the envelope, if I'm using a 6x6 envelope, I have plenty of depth to allow for that, as you can see. I could move him down a bit, but I want to be able to see the fish slice, so I didn't want him any lower really. And that hat is actually cut separately from the DSP and stuck onto my chef. He had got a hat, but I just thought I'd add a bit of the detail, because the detail is that it cuts these little slots at the front. Again, something you probably can't see too well in there, but there we go. So there is my second turtley awesome box card. So we have both of them here. As I said, I will put something else on that side. It looks a little bit bare there, but I'll cut something out to put on there. So I hope you like these cards. I hope you have a go at making them, because they are great fun to make. They are, as you can see, very, very simple to make. Really neat, says Geraldine. Thank you. Yeah, they are cute. I think they're cute. And I know, Geraldine, you're not that fond of cute cards, but these ones just are gorgeous. And for my nieces, who are 8 and 5, she's 6 this year, 8 and 6 this year, they're going to love these. They're just perfect for them. So I'm very glad to get those ready before I needed to, just for once. So I hope you have a go at these. As I said, I am going to make a smaller one. I'll probably talk about that in my email on Friday. I'll make a smaller one, perhaps put some pictures of that in if I get around to it before Friday. And my email the email comes out on Saturday that I write on Fridays. I'll show you perhaps the slightly shorter one that does fit in the normal sized envelope. You can see the difference. They don't look very different because you just adjust the measurements, as I've said, just to allow for it. So there. I hope you've really enjoyed those, and I hope you have a go at them, because they are such great fun to make. And thank you for joining me today, and I hope you can join me again next week. We are back at 2 o'clock next week. The following week will be 3 o'clock again, I'm afraid. It's husband's final physio session that week, so we'll be 3 o'clock or just after that week. But then hopefully we're back to normal. The week after that is the week we are in Switzerland, so there won't be anyone then. So it'll be a month before we're back to normal, probably. But I do hope you can find me again then. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye for now.